And let's get this Monday morning off to a fantastic start. It's time to share a cup. I'm sharing a cup with a gentleman that has been popping in the 80s, 90s, and then he disappeared off the scene just a bit. Soca artist, jazz artist, composer. He started singing in church. I'm talking about the man they call Anslem Douglas. Good morning, sir. Good morning. You started to sing in church, Anslem. I read that this week, and I said Anslem Douglas, like many, I suppose, singers, songwriters, started in Sunday school in church.
And you know what? It's one of those places where you could blossom.
Yeah.
You know, you're allowed to grow and experiment. You know, and I started singing in a little Chechen Army, a little Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
And
you're a South boy.
South boy, yeah. Original South boy. You know, and I did a little choir, which is, you know, I think is a really nice discipline.
Yeah.
You know, you have to hold on a particular part, you know. So I was in the choir and then I broke off and I started my own little group in church.
Right.
You know, and I can't say I started it. A bunch of us came together and decided, let's start this little band called Exodus. And we did pretty well as a little church group.
I wonder sometimes how does one transform from singing in church
to tell church people jump and wave. I know.
And jumping on a massive carnival stage.
It was a bit difficult for me because I remember performing at a band called Firefly years ago.
Yes.
And in those days, the January 1st fete used to take place on the tennis court.
Right.
You know, because that was a big fete.
That was a big fete then.
Now we can't hold a christening there. But, and I was on stage and stuff, shirt and pants, and because I came from that.
Right.
You know, so I am singing.
Yeah.
And then one time, Robin Imamsha told me, "So you're singing too much, man." You know, because I'm singing and holding notes and jumping wave, jumping.
And then you're singing too much.
I was singing too much. I was singing too much for what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because soca became a very attack music.
Yes.
You know, and I was just doing too much of the vocals and all that stuff. You know? So it was a little transition.
Drink something with me. What would you like to have?
I'm a kind of a wine guy. You know?
You're a wine guy?
I like
white or red?
I'm a red boy.
Red. A glass of red wine. And so you transformed into a soca artist back then. And that then was what propelled you? Was that your passion then to move into that genre?
Well, even before I started singing in church as a little boy home, you know, you're listening to the radio. Those days, there are two stations. You know, we're talking about 610 Action Radio and Radio Trinidad, Radio 70. Right? And you would listen to people like Sparrow and Kitchener because a lot of people wasn't recording.
Right.
But they would hear Duke and Sparrow and Kitchener and some guys, Bomber and these guys, you know, and you try to mimic them.
Right.
You know, and I would tell I could sing like Sparrow, you know, I could sing like Kitchener, you know, so you mimic these guys, you know. So music and calypso music was always something that, I mean, born in Trinidad, you know. So coming over into this soca world, outside of the transition from church to soca calypso, it was a wonderful experience. It is a wonderful experience, just doing it right.
Raga Pum Pum. Who Let the Dogs Out? Some of your big hits.
The big songs, Jump and Mash Up the Party.
Jump and Mash Up the Party.
Rock Back on It.
Right.
When I Did Bury My Clothes.
When I Did Bury My Clothes. Yeah, that was a good one. Who Let the Dogs Out? You won a Grammy for?
Yeah,
I believe.
Grammy Award-winning songwriter.
A Grammy Award-winning songwriter. There was some controversy surrounding that. Is that all settled
Yes, it is. It is. But let me tell you something. What happened is, a lot of people think that the Baha Men who made the song internationally famous.
Yes.
We had a beef. We had no beef. We never had a beef. In fact, they invited me down to the Bahamas. We went down there and, you know, had some conch soup and conch. You know, it was good. What happened is the original producer of the song is where the controversy started.
Right.
Because when the song started to become big outside of the Caribbean with the Baha Men, of course, people started to hear chichi. So people started coming out of the woodwork. People said that I came in the studio with a poem and had no melody and a whole bunch of crap. But as my lawyer said, where there's a hit, there's a writ.
Where there's a hit, there's a writ.
And you know what, to all young artists, all artists out there, when to think about it, we all want our music to be internationally big and, you know, and all that's good. But you have to understand that this is not only show. This is show business. And a lot of times, artists like myself, we were all caught up in the show. You know, you're performing and your name calling and you're on a billboard and you're on posters. But there's a business aspect of that that we should not push in the corner. It's very, very important to deal with the business, because if there's no business, there's no show. You know, so, but the thing with the Baha Men was always good, and, you know, record went on to go and sell, single went on to sell, I think, over 4 million. You know, went platinum, double platinum, triple platinum, multi-platinum. Was featured in about 5 major movies. You know, so it worked.
Was that your most, for me? Yeah, because that was your most successful period.
Yeah,
that was the most successful period.
And to be honest, I don't think it was my best writing. I don't think Una the Dogs was the best song I ever wrote, but hey, it did the best for me. So sometimes what you're looking at and hoping, it doesn't work that way. From what I understand, Dollar Wine was a filler song on Taxi's album. And that became the big song. So sometimes the direction you're looking in is not where it's coming from.
Yeah. You then sort of mellowed out. That's the perfect phrase. You mellowed out. You mellowed out. Was that a purposeful mellow out? Did you just mellow out based on the business?
I migrated. I went to Canada to live, and it's now I know it's very difficult to be in a foreign country and produce. I don't know how Kitchener did it, because he was in London for years, God rest his soul, and selling music to Trinidad and winning Road March and too. You know, so I was in Toronto. Different time. I was in Toronto and running into Trinidad and doing a record, and you know, but it just wasn't doing anything. So people started asking me, "Just stop singing about it." You know, and then after a while, I did take a break, and I went into other stuff. I opened a grocery store in Toronto. I became a big grocer and all that kind of thing.
Were you serious?
Yeah, I tried that, dabbled in some stuff, you know. And, but music always seemed to be coming back. You know, I always going back to music.
So your mellow out, as you described, that Anslem, really happened when you migrated.
When I migrated.
And you weren't in touch with what was happening.
And you lose it. You lose that pulse. You lose the energy, because Trinidad gives up a vibe. You know, you have a vibe here from the time them sliding doors open, Piaco Airport, you feel that vibe. You know, we have an energy here that you don't find anywhere else. You know, and it's a unique energy. And when you stay away too long, you lose the touch. You lose the pulse of the people. Any
regrets in terms of moving away from TNT? Should you have stayed in terms of where?
I don't like to look back with regrets.
Yeah.
But if something is not working, you fix it. So that's why I'm back here now.
You're back here now?
I'm back here.
So you're back in Trinidad?
Back in Trinidad. Ship down and come down and everything.
Okay. And is it now that we can now expect Anslem Douglas in terms of 2015 and beyond?
And I've been seeing, since I've been back, I've been seeing where there is a buzz again. You know, there is a buzz again. And it will take some time to get back there, because there's a whole generation who don't know me. I mean, I've been abroad for 20 years. So there's a whole generation who they know of me. I remember I was in a fete sometime, and this guy come to me and say, "Anslem, you see, there's a big bonnet here on his face. Anslem, you don't remember me? No. You come up in my primary school. You call me up on the stage in your primary school." A big man now. So it's like 20 years gone. There's a whole generation of people who weren't born yet when I left in the fete now.
So is it that Anslem Douglas will now be rebranding himself in TNT?
Salute to that. I'm back, and I'm going to give it everything, because I have the experience. I know the hard work it takes, and we're going to do it.
You worked through Fireflight. I think you spent some time with Atlantic. So you will, and in that era of band music. Just compare it quickly to what you see now.
Well, we don't have a lot of bands anymore, because I remember in Spectrum, where is now Movie Town. I remember we square off. It was Chandelier, Atlantic, Charlie's Roots. It was bands.
Musical bands.
Bands, and you know, with horn sheets in front, score sheets, and people, bands, real bands. You know, 15 people on stage, full big bands. You know, and it was amazing, because you know what, as one band, the next one strike up, and it's because you have a time to play. And
what happened?
Technology happened. Technology happened, and now somebody could go in the studio and you get synthetic horns. In fact, they don't use horns in music again, hardly. You know, you have drum machines. So the bands start getting smaller and smaller. And what happened to tour, to travel, it became very expensive for a promoter to take it to Sweden. 16 people on stage, plus a sound engineer. you know, a road manager.
Yeah.
That become a big ticket.
Yeah.
And they had to stay in hotels, you know, so it became more and more expensive because your price going up, airfares going up, you know. So what started happening is the band started chiseling down. The band started chiseling down and became smaller and smaller. Now we have on stage 4 people. Yeah. That's the band.
And so when we come back, I want to take a short break. Well, I'd love to know if you think that hurt soca, or if it helped soca.
I'll let you know.
All right, we're coming back. We're sharing a couple with Anslem Douglas. We also find out what he's up to as he is back here in TNT. He's a jazz man, and he's going to give us a little jazz thing when we come back after this. We're taking a short break. Cup of Joe continues after this. Hey, we're back and sharing a cup with Anslem Douglas this morning here, and he's been out of the scene for a bit, migrated for 20 years, living out in Canada, but he's back in TNT. Anslem Douglas sharing a cup. Thanks so much for being with us, Anslem.
Thank you for having me.
We just before the break, we mentioned about the fact that soca went through the technology phase, from say the musical bands with full music, full instruments. Did that hurt soca?
Yes and no. I think we're raising and rearing a bunch of entertainers who not very musical, but doing music.
Right, not
so
musicians.
They're not musicians, because now somebody don't know how to necessarily need to know how to play a keyboard or to play a bass, but they could produce music, and they call themselves producers. I'm neither here nor there with that, you know. If that floats your boat, you know. But I think there was a time when young people used to go and learn to play an instrument, learn to play horns, and they're not interested in that anymore. And you know, I think how could you be a musician if you can't play music, if you're not going to learn to sing properly? I mean, back in the day we used to go through Anti-K and then 12 and under and Teen Talent and stuff. You go through the ranks. I don't know. No. So I think
how much ranks?
How much ranks? You just become a general. You know? So just become a general. And so, but from a financial standpoint, I think it made sense because now a promoter could fly you out there, and you could go to Germany, you could go to Japan, you could go to wherever to perform. It's easier to move around because you're lighter.
Pros and cons. You know. Pros and cons. Tell me the direction that you want to now take, because as I said, you've 20 years. I said almost a generation may not know of an Anslem Douglas. Now you're back. You would have sang, you would have seen calypso into soca. Now you're back. It's an entirely different scene now, and the big guns are the big guns. So what's the direction Anslem Douglas wants to take now?
Well, the thing about it is, you can't be in the game. You can't play mass and free public. Right? You got to be current with your music. You know, you got to quote unquote know what's happening. And if you try to go against the grain too much, the blade will get dull. You know. So basically, what happened back in the game now, I gotta still stay current, but try and maintain some Anslem, because I don't want to get lost in the melee. You know, because I think I have a definite voice, a unique kind of voice. When you hear it, you know it. You know, and I don't want to get lost where, who is that again? When Shadow music is played, you know it's Shadow, because he has a vibe and an energy and a signature. When you hear David on a track, that's David. And if you become everybody else, you lose yourself. So you have to find a way to be current, be relevant, but still maintain self. And that's what I'm about.
Is that a bigger challenge than you making it sound? How big a challenge is that?
It's a very big challenge now. Because now, I mean, go back in the day, when Crazy was crazy. And you hear people now on the radio, it's like, you sound like this one. Because everybody now go to a producer and say, I want to do a tune like that.
All right.
Because, and I like to use the term, everybody looking to eat a food.
Yes.
You know, and nobody. So we building artists but killing art form. You know what I'm saying? We're building artists but killing art form in the process. Because it's about art, it's about creativity. And if I am trying to be you, then I'm going to lose who I am. And it's a sad thing when sameness works. Difference is what should sell, not sameness. You know, and I find we're becoming a nation of sameness. Everything had a song the same, because a DJ needs to be able to this mix it into that. And if you're not in the mix, you're not going to be played.
Because there is now what you call help me, somebody where they lay down, in other words, they lay down about 3 or 4 songs on one rhythm. On a rhythm. Thank you. Yeah, they lay down about 3 or 4 songs on one rhythm, and
you had to be in the mix. You had to be in the mix.
So,
and even if you're not on the rhythm, you had to be the same kind of pulse so that the DJ could mix you in.
Right.
So there you're kind of forced to go in a direction.
So will Anslem Douglas be on a rhythm coming in 2015?
I'm telling you, I'm with it. So I am going to. I was on the 60s rhythm.
Right.
Myself and Little Bits.
Right.
So it's going to be more of that.
More of that.
It's going to be, because you have to stay relevant.
Relevant. You did some jazz. I think it was back in 2013. I think it was.
12, 13, somewhere around.
12, 13, yeah.
I did. That's my second smooth jazz / R&B album that I did with a gentleman called my God, Eddie.
Right.
Eddie Boleyn. You know, and he's a wonderful musician, wonderful person, and we work wonderfully together.
You like the jazz?
I love it. I love the movement of it. You know, but what we call in jazz now is it's hardly jazz. You know, it's kind of, we call it smooth jazz.
Okay.
But it's not like hardcore.
Right. Like what John Legend does.
But that's smooth. I would put that smooth jazz. I would put that smooth jazz. You know, if I had to label it in a genre, I'd call it smooth jazz.
Smooth jazz, right? And what do you do? What are you?
I was doing a kind of smooth jazz, kind of neo soul, crossover mix kind of thing. You know.
What was the hit? What was the song?
There was a song on the record called Forever, but and again that wasn't even in that genre. That was just a song that I wrote.
Yeah.
It's a love song.
You want to give me a sample? Give me a sample.
It's a love song. So.
You're not singing to me, but you go ahead.
You holding my little finger, and you kissing me on my shoulder as I tell you I love you, and you say you love me too. You standing in front of the mirror, you kissing our unborn daughter as I watch you grow. Girl, deep inside I know that this will last forever. Nice, smooth. Yeah, kind of easy.
Easy, and that there's some very
controversial songs on the record. There's some really controversial songs on the record too that didn't play because it was very graphic, you know, so it didn't play, but I thought it would have worked underground.
Yeah.
You know.
Tell me what you missed most when you were living in Canada. What you missed most about TNT?
Energy, boy. That energy. That you feel that energy building from Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
Come in.
Now you're feeling from about Tuesday, you know. Yeah, man. Even when you have a new Tuesday, now you're feeling from about Tuesday.
It's just you know that whole thing. It passed. Man, hey, out there, drink out there. You know, it's an energy and a vibe and a lime, and I love it. I love it.
It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. Never had this opportunity to meet you up close and personal, but it's been a pleasure.
I've been seeing you on TV. All right.
Anslem Douglas sharing a couple of us this morning. Such a pleasure speaking with him. Let's hope you drop by sometime as the end of the year comes closer into the carnival season. Find out what he's all about. He's back here home in TNT after 20 years living in Canada. Great to see him back. Great to have him back. We take a short break. We're coming right back here on A Cup of Joe.